Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be covering my Sensational Spider-Man custom Precon. So this is the new Spider-Man card from the upcoming Scene box. It's based around Spidey kind of webbing up opponents, which is materialized by him tapping them and putting a stun counter onto them. You can then remove 3 stun counters from any permanents and then draw cards equal to the amount that you remove. So that's kind of like him, I guess, showing his non-combative side or something like that. Kind of eventually the webs kind of dissolve and then the criminals go to the police, or by then I don't know exactly what that's meant to represent, but either way it's meant to be kind of like webbing everyone up and stuff. So I've essentially made a $50 US custom Precon here for you guys, and the brief rundown is that it's primarily kind of focused around these stun counters and making use of them as we can. Now, the thing about stun counters is that they're great to prevent things from untapping, but if we, remove them ourselves with Spider-Man, then they just get to untap anyway. So let's keep those stun counters around by proliferating them, continuously making it so that they just get more and more stun counters, which means that we can remove them willy-nilly. We can just take them away and find they continue to be webbed up, and then we get card draw for essentially free, making it so that, they're still stunned, we still got to tap them, we still got to do the attack and everything, but then we get the card draw and get the procs off of that and stuff. So I've kind of leaned into the proliferation, the stun counters, and then we've got card draw support in here too. Now, this is going to be a part of my new custom Precon series that's going to be covering a lot of awesome custom made Precon priced decks. This one's $50 US that you can build for yourself. So make sure you subscribe for more. And if you are going to be picking up any of the cards from them, make sure you head on over to TCG Player. So let's go through some of the cards. So first up, we've got Stunning Performance. So these are the things that are getting things stunned, right? So Monstrosity of the Lake is a huge one here. It's essentially a board wipe stun. It's going to stun all of our opponent's creatures and then put a stun counter onto them, which then we've got ways to be able to proliferate later on. We've got some other stuff that stuns or just kind of taps down with like an Ice Wrought Sentry here. Watcher in the Water is great because of the fact it comes in with stun counters itself on our side, and then we're able to remove them. Eventually we get this huge 9/9, right? We've got the Referee Squad here that just comes in and ETBs tapped and stuns something. We've got some instants and sorceries that do taps and stuns too. And then we've got these. So there's a few different ones that are essentially ETB, when it enters the battlefield, either, pay to with the Snare Master Sprite. It's a very cheap one, so that's great to have in here to get a little bit of chip damage in at the start, or, just stun something. Flood Pits Drowner as well. When it enters the battlefield, tap a creature and stun. So then I've got a couple different flicker things in here, like Conjurer's Closet down to like $1 something now, which is amazing. Kaikar here, procs off of us casting a non-creature spell. We've got a bunch of those in here, so we can flicker something with that too. Sanctuary Wall is great because it puts a stun counter on itself, which we can either remove with Spidey if there's not many stun counters out there, or we could just, flicker it and then it comes back and it's not stunned anymore, right? Now, little kind of spoiler for a little bit later, we do have some Proliferate in here, obviously, and we've got Conjurer's Closet and Kaikar that are going to be able to flicker our Proud Pack Rhino here to be able to continuously proliferate whenever it enters the battlefield. It proliferates, so, if we use Kaikar or Conjurers to do that, then boom, more proliferation. So we've got some stun payoffs here too. So Hilda is just, whenever we tap an untapped creature, you can pay 1 and then you can get an elemental. You can put a +1 on all creatures, each creature you control. We want some +1 stuff in here too, because if we can put +1s onto Spidey, he's just going to get huge from proliferation too. Shari here. Whenever you tap 1 or more untapped creatures your opponents control, draw a card. Boom, extra card draw. Mjolnir. First of all, I love the idea of Spider-Man swinging in with Mjolnir, but also it is, when you attack, tap something, put a stun counter on it, and then you get to deal damage to each opponent equal to the number of tapped creatures that opponent controls. Now, Spidey's swinging in, he's throwing Mjolnir at everyone, he's stunning someone, and then dealing a whole bunch of damage too. All right. More stuff like, Verity Circle, boom, extra card draw, Solitary Sanctuary, put a +1 onto Spidey, or borrowing 100,000 arrows here, which is card draw as well from our tapped creatures our opponents control. We've got a bunch of proliferation. As I said, heaps and heaps of proliferation. That's good. Hi, Swingy. We've got Tezzer's Gambit. draw cards, proliferate. Thrumming Bird, hit someone, proliferate. Dreamtide, anytime someone casts 2 spells in their turn, proliferate. Metastatic, anytime a non-token creature enters for yourself, proliferate. Boom, you flicker, an extra proliferation. There's just a bunch of proliferate stuff in here that's just going to go huge. And now you're going to have people who have 10 stun counters. They've got nothing that's coming in. Anytime something comes in, you just stun it down. You get 3 card draws off Spidey each time. It's just going to be crazy. Obviously, just the stun counters is great, and they're going to be, controlling the board and stuff, which, it's going to be amazing. Everything, it's just going to be stunned forever. But then we've also got a bunch of card draw that's going to come in from Spidey, right? So why don't we make Spidey a +10/+10? Or make it so each time we draw a card, now we're drawing 2 cards. So now Spider-Man is drawing 6 cards each time. Ominous Seas, boom. Now we've drawn, 8 cards, create a huge Kraken. Wizard class, every time we draw a card, now Spider-Man's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Just go in for that huge freaking commander damage win. Archmage Ascension is crazy here as well if we get it out early, because now all of a sudden we're going to be able to just tutor up a card each time we draw a card. It's crazy. So obviously we need to protect our board too. So Unstoppable Plan is great because it's going to make it so we get to untap everything. So untap Spider-Man or any other creatures that we have tapped down because we attacked. And because of the fact that all our opponent's stuff is going to be tapped all the time, then we can swing in for free, hit them, and then untap. Very similar to Reconnaissance, except Reconnaissance also has the extra bonus of the fact that we can use that after, before damage. So now we can swing in with Spider-Man. They say they're going to block something. Boom, we reconnaissance. Now it's out of combat. It's really great. Propaganda just makes it so we're not getting attacked, and slip out the back is just a cheap way to essentially kind of phase out Spider-Man. Then he phases back in, but he gets to keep all these +1 counters, which is great. So we've obviously got a whole bunch of removal in here too. There's the typical kind of white removal in here. I did add Seeds from Slumber because it's really cheap. And in this deck, it's essentially going to be 2 mana, destroy a creature with no downside to us. Split Up, boom. All our opponent's stuff is tapped. We just untapped. Now all their stuff is gone. Most likely you want to keep them around, right? You don't want to board wipe too much with this deck because of the fact that we want our opponent's stuff to just stay tapped with stun counters on it. So Split Up, it's more likely that we aren't going to be using board wipes too much in this deck because we want our opponent's creatures to come out, to stay out. But we may need to remove certain creatures, or if our board gets wiped, then just wipe everyone else's. Illithid Harvester is really crazy because now we can turn all our opponent's creatures that are face up, we get to flip them all face down, and now they're all 2/2 horrors instead of whatever they were before. We just get to just keep them. Great. Now, one card that I thought about putting in here that I decided not to was Fear of Sleep Paralysis. It makes it so you cannot remove stun counters, which means Spider-Man can't remove them. So that's why that's not in here. If we didn't have, if we were just running, Hilda or something like that as the commander, that would be fine. And the great thing about this is if you don't want to proxy Spider-Man or something, for now you could use Hilda as the commander and it'd be fine. The Illithid Harvester here is going to, the Fear of Sleep Paralysis just kind of goes well with Hilda, but does not go well with Spider-Man. Also, your command is just a great board wipe too. So let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you think about me doing it this way to show off the deck rather than what I usually do, which is go in here and kind of scroll down. I will put the link to this down in the description so you guys can check it out in the comments as well. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.